Progress.
Siyata D'Shmayim, Shabbos Parshas Shmois, Chafei Tevis, Mevorch Machai D'Shvat, Tov Shalom Gimel. The Parsha begins, Ve'ela Shmois Bnei Yisrael, Haboim Mitzrayim. It's Yankov one of each, Yankov, each Ubeis Bo. So it talks about, this is the names of the Bnei Yisrael that are coming into Mitzrayim. Yankov, a man in his household that he came. It's known the examination and of the one whose yahrzeit it is. In other words, Chav Dalet Tevis, the Alter Rebbe, his yahrzeit on the day before this Maimer was said in Torah Oirim, the Parshas Vayigash Namar Gamkin Ve'ela Shmois Bnei Yisrael Boy Mitzrayim Yaakov Von. Parshas Vayigash it also says these are the names of the Bnei Yisrael that are coming to Mitzrayim, Yaakov and his children. So therefore, it's already repeated. Why was it repeated in Torah? They're coming into Mitzrayim. We had at the end of Parshas, we had at the in Parshas Vayikash, he spoke about this. So why does he start off again to repeat the same thing? Also to understand the differences between the way the Torah talks about it in Parshas Vayigash about the Yidden coming down to Mitzrayim, versus in Parshas Shmois in our Parsha. Ad kan l'shoinoi, up till here's a quote from the Alter Rebbe. This means the Rebbe elaborates upon what the second question means. Though in general it's repeated over here, the same matter that Ray says in Parshas Vayigash, Shari Begoli, with Pashtak Ksuvim, because in a revealed sense, in the simple, literal sense of the Psukim, Ein Mikriyotim de Pshutoi, the Pasuk doesn't leave its simple meaning. So therefore it's talking about the same event. Therefore it's the same concept, the same topic that's spoken about in Parshas Vayigash. Still in all, from the differences that there is when the Torah enumerates and speaks about the Shmois Bnei Yaakov that came down to Mitzrayim in Parshas Vayigash versus the way he does it in our Parsha. So it's moving, it's understood, though in general it's the same thing, but when we get into the details, they are distinct matters. Why do I say that? So there's differences. So he says, we know that from one word we learn out many matters in halacha, especially if it's an extra word and so on. Over here there are many changes from what it says in Parshas Vayigash, so therefore it's understood, though it's not a halachic issue, but it's understood that every word is exact, and the very fact that it's a changed word from here than Parshas Vayigash must be some different ideas and messages that are being communicated in the way it's in our Parsha versus the way it's in Parshas Vayigash. Ois base. And in Torah over there, that Maimon the Alter Rebbe continues. But in the end, the idea behind this is the Niksiv Yorod Yoradnu. It says, descend, we have descended. Yerida achar yerida. Could have just said Yoradnu. Why is it Yorod Yoradnu? So the Alter Rebbe derives from that it's one descent following another descent. What is the meaning behind that? The concept behind this is Golus Mitzrayim Kalelas Gamas Agolias Shalach Rizah. Golus Mitzrayim includes also the exiles that followed Mitzrayim. The noise of Lakach, in addition to the fact Mitzrayim L'Shoim Mitzarim V'Gvulim, the Mitzrayim is from the expression boundaries, constraints, and limitations. It's also from the word troubles, problems, difficulties. Like it says concerning Mitzrayim, that Avraham Avinu was told by the Bris Ben Absadim that they will be enslaved, and they will make them suffer. So Mitzrayim does not just mean constraints and limitations, but Mitzrayim is also from the word suffering, tzara, troubles. To such a degree that concerning the beginning of Golus Mitzrayim, the Chazal said a very interesting thing. Golus is synonymous with Tzaras. And therefore, the Chazal said, Roy hoyu Yaakov Avinu leir Mitzrayim shal shlosh shel barzel. Yaakov Avinu should have gone down to Mitzrayim in iron chains. K'derech kol hagoyim. That's the way of all people are in exiles. People are exiled do not go there by choice, do not decide to move over there. They are brought there by force. Shal pi gzeres golus yarad sham. Because why did Yaakov Avinu descend to Mitzrayim? Because there was a gzeira of the bris ben absorim that he would have to go into exile. Like the expression of the Bal HaGodah that we say this Pesach by the Seder, he was forced, he was coerced to go down to Mitzrayim according to what Hashem said, the Hashem's decree. But the Medrash says, why Lepoil wasn't he? Didn't he have to go down to Mitzrayim in such a type of way? Why wasn't he brought down with iron chains? Hashem said that his merit withstood him, his merit helped him, that even though he should have gone down to Mitzrayim in iron chains, like any person that goes down to Golus, still in all he didn't. That's the reason that the exile of Mitzrayim is the root for all the exiles. All the governments are called by the name Mitzrayim. Why are all the governments called by the name Mitzrayim? Al Shem Shem Mitziris Yisrael, because they are afflicted, they are constraining and making tzaras and troubles for the Yidden. Ubechlolos Hareza Inyan the Dvar Malchus. In general, the whole idea of Golus Mitzrayim being the church for all the Golus, the idea of the enslavement under the government. So that's why it says Yorod Yoradno, because it's not just referring to the descent of Mitzrayim, but it's also referring to all next descents, to all following descents, that all the other Golusin are included in the Golus of Mitzrayim. Line 7, page Vav. Zem moving for this understood, just like Golus Mitzrayim, the exile of Mitzrayim, includes in it all the other exiles, so therefore the undoing of the exile, Shagam Gulas Mitzrayim, Kailelas as Kol HaGulas. Also the redemption from Mitzrayim also includes in it all the other redemptions. Like it continues in Torah, also in their leaving and the redemption from Mitzrayim, and I will raise you up, also raise you up. Again, just like Yored Yoradnu says a double language of descent, including not just the descent to Mitzrayim, but Mitzrayim included the descent to all the other Golus. So the same thing where it says about that Yidden will be taken out of Golus, so that also is a double expression. Hainu shtei aliyos, two ascents. Shu ilu yachar ilu, it's one ascent after another ascent. Ube'emes b'tzias Mitzrayim lo yinasal rak pa'machas. But if you look at their going out of Mitzrayim, they only ascended once. Like it says, Allah eschem on Mitzrayim, I will raise you up from the affliction of Mitzrayim. So therefore, if so, why does it say Al Chogam Oloi if it's only one ascent going on in Mitzrayim? For the same reason, like it says Yora Yoradnu. Ach Yaliyah Zu Hashenis he remezes Al Gula Asida Liyas Mheru Yemenu Amen. This second ascent hints on the future redemption that's going to be speedily in our times. Amen. So this is what we have. We have from the Yora Yoradnu and Al Chogam Oloi that the Golus Mitzrayim includes in it all the following exiles, and the Aliyah of Mitzrayim, the Geula of Mitzrayim, includes the Geula Asida. If we could add to this, saying that this idea is also hinted in what it says in our parsha, when Hashem appeared to Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to know, what should I tell the Yidden who sent me? Vayomer Elokim al Moshe, Eya asher Eya. And Hashem told Moshe, I will be who I will be. What's this double expression? Again, we're talking the whole time, Yared Yeradno, Al Chagam Oloi, Eya imam b'tzara zois, asher Eya imam b'shibud Dvar Malchus. I will be with them in this tzara, in this problem, and I will be with them also in the enslavement of other governments. Now the truth is, Moshe Rabbeinu resisted that. Moshe Rabbeinu challenged Hashem on that type of statement. Though concerning this, Moshe told Hashem, why am I mentioning to them about another tzara, another problem? It's enough that they're dealing with this problem, they're dealing with this suffering. I should mention to them, oh, God's going to be with you the next time you're inflicted. Who wants to hear that when they're busy suffering now? And Hashem Taka answered him, you said right. Keep that between me and you. This is what you should say to the Yidden. Eya sent me to you. I only say it once. Don't say Eya asher Eya or Eke asher Eke. Now, Moshe Rabbeinu had to tell Hashem that it's enough that the Yidden are in one tzara, they don't have to hear about another tzara. Hashem knew about that issue. Became still, in all he initially said, I will be who I will be. Why? Because Hashem wanted to right away bring in the future redemption as well. To hint on the future redemption that's included in Gulas Mitzrayim. But in a revealed way, it was only the redemption of Mitzrayim. That's why in the end, what did Hashem tell Moshe to tell the Yidden? Therefore, this is the way you should say the Yidden. Eketh sent me to you, and to say it only one time. Top of page Zayin. Oizgim. And the Flois is also what it says, like your days going out of the land of Mitzrayim, I will show you wonders. So here's going to say a very interesting relationship between Yetzias Mitzrayim to the I will show you wonders of Mashiach's times, based on what we said before, that the Geula of Mitzrayim is the Shoirish and the source for the Geula of Lasad Lavoi, and it's included in it. Anoichi al Chagam Oli. In the Geula Mitzrayim is included, though Begoli it's only Gulas Mitzrayim, but it's included in it Behelim also, the Geula of Mashiach's times. That's the association, this pasuk, Ki meit zeis chomeret Mitzrayim aran neflois, that connection between the future redemption and your days going out of Mitzrayim. Now, in the relationship between the two in this pasuk, there are two ways of looking at that relationship. There are two explanations in this. The pasuk is comparing the final redemption to the redemption from Mitzrayim. That means the redemption from Mitzrayim is only an example for the final redemption. You want to know what the final redemption is like. We don't know. It hasn't happened yet. You want to get some type of inkling. You want to have some type of marshal, some type of handle on it. I'll give you an example. Look at what happened in Mitzrayim. You saw what happened in Mitzrayim? Unbelievable stuff. That's a starting point of an example of how unbelievable the Geula Asidah is. But it's only an example. It's only an example. That is one way of looking at it. In other words, that the Geula Asidah is like the primary one, and Mitzrayim is only an example for it. Line 6, Vasheni, in the second approach is, Shebegulas Mitzrayim Nechlelas Kvar Geula Asidah, then the redemption of Mitzrayim is included also the future redemption. Can move Mashakasa Bezoyer, like it's understood from what's written in the Zohar. Can mate says Goiber, like your days. Go. We already before what he says in the Zohar. Gulas Mitzrayim is already included. The Gula Asidah we already said before. That's the Anoichi Alcha Gamoloi. That's the Eka Asher Eka that we already have included in going out of Mitzrayim. We have the Gula Asidah. So we say, can move him Mashkasa Bezoyer, can mate says it's also understood from what the Zohar asks. Why does it say like your days going out of Mitzrayim? It should have said like the day of your going out of Mitzrayim. They went out in one day. So too, when it says about remembering going out of Mitzrayim, it explicitly says day, not days. It says so that you should remember the day of your going out of Mitzrayim. Why does it say as the days in the plural? Who the idea behind this is. Why does it say the days going out of Mitzrayim? From the time of you going out of Mitzrayim until the future redemption. That's going to come speedily in our days. Amen. Concerning the future redemption, that's where it says, I will show you wonders. And you made says Mitzrayim. They are the days of your going out of the land of Mitzrayim. That's why it says, like the days in the plural. This means when the future redemption will come along, then it will be the perfection and the completion of Yitzias Mitzrayim. This is similar to another pasuk that indicates a similar idea, similar to what it says, these are the travels, the journeys of the Bnei Yisrael that they left and they went out of the land of Mitzrayim. It says Maseh travels in the plural. Seemingly, leaving Mitzrayim was only the first exit and the first journey, the first travel. They crossed the border, they left Mitzrayim. Then there was another 41 masois, another 41 journeys, another 41 stops. But the first stop was when they left Mitzrayim. So why does it say plural? So the explanation is in the same way how we say Kimeit says Kamar to Mitzrayim, that going out of Mitzrayim does not conclude until we reach the Gula Asidah. The same thing by Elam Maseh, the idea behind this is as long as we did not reach the final journey, the final stop. That's the true broadness, which is the contrast to Mitzrayim, constraints and narrowness. It was still not yet completed the idea of going out of Mitzrayim. So too, it's concerning the idea of like your days going out. And you made says Mitzrayim all the days from the days of the first redemption from Golus Mitzrayim until the future redemption. These are all your days going out of the land of Mitzrayim. Move on. So now, from all of this is understood. Shegeulas Mitzrayim Kalula Begeula Hasidah. On the one hand, since Gulas Mitzrayim is all about bringing you towards it, so really it's part of the future redemption. But on the other hand, you could say the other way. Lidach is on the other hand, Shemiyad B'Yetzias Mitzrayim Hoisa Klula Kvara Gula Asidah, like we said before, already in the going out of Mitzrayim, it was already included the future redemption. V'ad to such a degree, Shel Molech Yisrael, if the Yidden would not have sinned, Moshe Machnisam Eretz Yisrael, so then Moshe would have brought them into Eretz Yisrael directly. He would have taken them out of Mitzrayim, they would have gotten the Torah and gone to Eretz Yisrael. If Moshe Rabbeinu would have been the one to bring them into Eretz Yisrael, they would have been the final redemption. And there would have been no Golus following it. The Nimtza comes out. Shegeulas Mitzrayim Agula Asidah Klulim Zebazeh. that the future, that the redemption of Mitzrayim and the future redemption of Mashiach are really each one contained in the other. The full redemption is the Gula Asidah, so therefore Gula Mitzrayim, it's leading to it as part of that. On the other hand, the Gula Mitzrayim hasn't the potential rate to be the Gula Asidah, the future redemption, so really the Gula Asidah is included in that. So the Rebbe says, how can we say this one includes that, but that one includes this? So he says, Valderech inyan iskalos ha-mitzvahs. It's similar to the idea that's brought down about how the mitzvahs contain each other. Every mitzvah contains in it all the other 612 mitzvahs. Shalachein, for that reason, kol ha'oisig b'mitzvah pater min ha-mitzvah. Whoever is involved in doing one mitzvah is released from the obligation to do another mitzvah. Why? Not that I'm losing the other mitzvah. Not at all. Because through being involved in one mitzvah, I'm also drawing down that amshacha, that spiritual level that the other mitzvah draws down. If so, why are there 613 mitzvahs? There should be just one mitzvah that includes all the mitzvahs. The difference between if I'm doing mitzvah A or mitzvah B, the difference is what is considered primary, what's considered the secondary thing. So the mitzvah that I'm actually performing now, that's the primary thing that I'm involved in. The mitzvah that I'm released from doing, that I'm accomplishing because of the hiskalus of the mitzvahs, that's called the tafel, the ancillary thing, the auxiliary thing. So too, it's in the Gula for Mitzrayim and the future redemption, that they are intermingled one in the other. Each one has in it the other one. The entire difference is what is the main thing and what is the ancillary thing. The brachas, like it's explained, the idea at the end of Masechtas Brachas, and over there the Gemara discusses the famous issue that we also talk about in the Haggadah, if we will mention Yetzias Mitzrayim L'Mois Mashiach, and Ben Zayma challenged the Chachamim that says we do mention Yetzias Mitzrayim L'Mois Mashiach. So he brings a pasuk that it says, he brings it down in the commentary on the right side and the bottom. It says they will not mention anymore when Mashiach comes. They will not even mention the fact that that Hashem took the Yidden out of Mitzrayim. They will only talk about how Hashem collected all the scattered Yidden from around the world. So Chachamim said that doesn't mean that they will not mention it at all, but rather that the main thing will be, the primary focus will be on the Geula Asidah, and Yetzias Mitzrayim will be something that is secondary. What do you mean? How can you say that? So they say there's a pasuk. We find a similar thing by Yaakov. It says, "Lo yikar shimcha od Yaakov, ki Yisrael yishmecha." Your name will not be called anymore Yaakov. Your name will be called Yisrael. But we do find that it was called Yaakov afterwards. So we see from this pasuk that even when it says it will not be called anymore, that doesn't mean completely not called. It rather means that it's just going to be something, a secondary name. The same thing when it says they will not mention Yetzias Mitzrayim, they will not speak about it, does not mean it won't be spoken about at all. Like Ben Zayma wanted to say that we won't have to mention Yetzias Mitzrayim when Mashiach comes. Rather, it will be mentioned. But it will be mentioned in a way that's secondary and ancillary, just like the name Yaakov becomes now a secondary name to Yisrael, not the main name. Ois Daled, line 12. According to this, we could explain what it says in Torah. Concerning the two descents that was mentioned previously. The first descent, that's the Parshas Vayigash, is called the letters of thought. And the second descent, that's in Parshas Shmois, is the level of the letters of speech. That's what it means the Yidden descended into different levels. We know Baruchnis, thought shows on something that is much more connected to me, much more connected to my intellect, much more connected to my emotions, and speech shows a further distance. So we're saying that the when the Chochmah, let's say, descends into thought, that's one descent. Then when my Chochmah, for example, has to descend into speech, that's a further descent. Like the Rebbe on the side, he brings over there what the Torah says, like when Hashem had to bring his thought and his Chochmah down into the Asar HaMaros. That's a greater descent and a greater limitation. So that's the idea of the two levels of Yerida. That you have the Yerida of thought and you have the Yerida of speech. And this is the two ideas of Parshas Vayigash versus Parshas Shmois. When he talks about Ve'ela Shmois Bnei Yisrael, that they go down to Mitzrayim and Parshas Vayigash, that's the first descent. That's the descent of thought, and then you have the descent of Parshas Shmois, the second descent of the idea of speech. So too it's in the ascent of going out of Mitzrayim. These are the two levels of ascent of speech and thought. In other words, we go up Al Chagam Oloi. Like he said before, I will raise you up, I will also raise you up. So you're going up to speech and going up to thought. The L'chura seemingly, page test, the Rebbe asks, doesn't this contradict what he explained beforehand? That the two ascents are the redemption from Mitzrayim and the future redemption. Here we're talking about that in going out of Mitzrayim itself, you had to have the Aliyah back from Dibur up, and then the Aliyah back from Machshava up. So he explains, based on what we said before, this will be able to be answered. This will be understood according to what was explained, what we saw previously. The future redemption was already included in the redemption out of Mitzrayim. Therefore, in general, already in the redemption from Mitzrayim was included the two ascents of thought and speech. But more specifically, these are going on two separate periods. The redemption from Mitzrayim is the level of speech. And the future redemption is the level of thought. Like to explain with the Torah. Concerning the difference in the future redemption. And I'm sorry, the redemption from Mitzrayim and the future redemption. In the future redemption it says, he will wave his hand over the river. It's talking about the river of Pros. So the Euphrates River, the Koyal Bechinas Habina. A river shows on the level of Bina. We know always Chachma and Bina. Chachma is like a mayon, like a wellspring, and Bina is Rechayvus Hanar. So the splitting of that river means going beyond the level of understanding. Thought and bina go together, so it's the level of thought that's beyond speech. And this will be the split where it says in Mashiach's times that he will raise his hand over the river Pros and it will split. That means we will reach a level higher and beyond bina, beyond thought. As this gal by Bechina Shalom Maila Bina will become revealed in it, a level that's higher than bina. That's why it says about in that pasuk that he will raise his hand over the river and he will split it into 7 tributaries. This indicates the 7 lower levels, meaning the 7 midas of Atzilus. That from them comes down the 7 lower levels of Atik Yomin, meaning the 7 midas of Atik. So that means we're reaching beyond thought, beyond Bina, all the way to the level of Atik Yonim. Enki Beguls Mitzrayim Kriyas Yamsuf, as opposed to the redemption of Mitzrayim. There was the splitting of the sea, which we know Chassidus Yamsuf is associated with Malchus da Atzilus. That's the level of Malchus da Atzilus. Suf is from the level that's the end of the world of Atzilus. Also, it's the idea of Yam covers over all the spheres of Atzilus, like Malchus hides all the spheres of Atzilus. She bechinas Dibra Elyon. We know also Malchus is the level of Hashem's speech. Shadibur Usay for the Chol Dargin. Speech is the end of all the levels. It's what brings the levels out later. That's the reason why the Yam is split into 12 cuts. It's drawing down from the 12 diagonal connections of the Midas of Atzilus. We'll talk about that level tomorrow.